Hey everyone, Sparks back with another Goddess Victory Nikke video. We're about to get our hands on Redhood and they just released her kit, so let's go ahead and go over it. It is crazy. So she is a attacker iron type with a sniper, burst 1 or 2 or 3. She has an ammo capacity of 6 and a reload time of 2 seconds and a full charge time of 1 second. Okay, so let's get into the skills. Skill 1 is called Glaring Eyes, and it's a passive and activates when casting a normal attack. Interesting that they say casting a normal attack. I don't think I've seen that particular wording before. And it affects self. Charge speed goes up 3.81% and stacks up to 10 times and lasts for 5 seconds. So every time she shoots, she's going to get a faster and faster charging speed. This is definitely something that is very, very good. We know the value of hitting very quickly with a sniper. Take Alice, case in point. The next part of the skill says activates when entering the battle, affects self. So this is just going to be something that happens automatically as soon as the fight starts. And says converts excess value over 100% of charge speed to charge damage. So charge damage will go up 240% of the excess value continuously. So that extra damage, she can charge up to 250%. So anything above the 100, the 150% is going to be added to charge damage, and then 240% of that extra 150% will be added to damage, if I'm understanding that correctly. Either way, she is going to be getting more and more damage the more you charge and the faster you shoot, and she's going to shoot faster every single time she gets a shot off, or casts an attack, as they say. Sounds like we're playing Magic the Gathering here. Anyway, skill 2 is like not really a skill. It's basically all her bursts, but we'll see that in a second here. So activates when entering the battle, affects self, gains pierce continuously. So this part is just she always has it no matter what. So she's just always going to hit with pierce. It doesn't matter if she hits with full charge or, faster charge speed or whatever. Just every single hit is going to have pierce. Pierce is extremely good. Again, another comparison here to Alice and many other units like Nihilist or whatever, they can also do pierce. But the fact that she can just do pierce no matter what is really, really good. It's going to allow her to pierce through core and body and get those multi-hits. Also, if there's closely grouped together parts, she can shoot through multiple parts at a time. So shoot through shields. Pierce is super, super good, and she's just always going to have it. But the rest of the part of skill 2 is where it gets a little more interesting, and it's based off of all of her burst attacks. So the first one says activates during Beast Cage, which I believe is the burst 1 effect. Let me double check here. Yes, so if she's as a burst 1, that's burst cage. So it will increase defense by 50% of the caster's defense for 10%. So all of your team is going to get a defense boost. We know defense isn't super valuable, but 50% is a decent boost to all of your team. So could help give them a little bit more survivability. And then the second one activates during Last Howl, and I believe that is her second burst skill. Yes. So Last Howl, it will then recover 23% of attacks on damage for 10%. So it's going to only affect herself on this one, and she's going to heal herself very similar to the way Helm works with her like vampire or drain effect. And then the third effect activates when casting Red Wolf, which is her burst 3 ability. And it affects herself, and attack goes up by 71% of caster's attack for 2 seconds. So this is not final attack, but still a 71% attack boost is very significant. And if she's going to be doing that for the entire full burst period, that could be a lot of damage that is going to add up. So now let's get into her burst skills, because this is the really crazy and unique part about Redhood, right? So she can be used as either a burst 1 or 2 or 3, and we still don't know exactly how this works, but I can make some educated guesses here. So her cooldown is 40 seconds. That's standard for a burst 3. This would be bad for a burst 2 or 1, however. Now, when used as a burst 1, it's the Beast Cage effect. It affects all allies. Attack goes up by 77% of the caster's attack for 10 seconds. So all of the allies are getting that big attack buff that she would have gotten from her skill 2 if she used her skill as a burst 3. So we're going to kind of see either she buffs her allies with a certain effect or she buffs herself with a certain effect here. And then she affects herself. The cooldown of the burst is reduced by 40 seconds, and this activates once per battle. So I've already seen some confusion out there, some discussions on Discord. This does not mean that she can only use her burst once per battle. It means that 40-second cooldown effect only happens once per battle. So she is going to, the first time, if you're playing on auto, with auto burst, she is going to immediately use her burst 1, get all those effects, reduce her cooldown completely to 0, and then go into burst 2. So when used on step 2, last howl affects self, she taunts enemies for 10 seconds. This is pretty dangerous. Now she is going to get that defense up ability, I believe. Let me see. Her skill, which one increased defense? No, all allies get a defense up when she uses... Oh, okay, yeah. So as a skill 1, allies get a defense up. As a skill 2, she's getting that recover ability. Okay, so the taunt could still be pretty dangerous in some situations, but she will have the vampire effect to heal herself. But we've seen a lot of situations, even Tia can get herself killed, and of course before that, Winter Rupee got herself killed with the taunt. So I don't know, this is pretty dangerous, but in some situations it might not matter. She might be able to keep up with the healing because she's dealing so much damage. She could actually heal a lot, whereas like Tia and Christmas Rupee are defenders and not actually dealing that much damage. So this could be pretty effective. And her HP potency goes up by 74% as well for that 10 seconds. So probably will survive the taunt. And then she will immediately reduce her cooldown by 40 seconds again. And this is another effect that only happens once per battle. So again, she can use the burst 2 again, but she can only reduce her cooldown by 40 seconds once per battle. So then she's immediately going to go into her burst 3, Red Wolf, and she gets a ton of buffs here. So all of these just affect herself. Charge weapon in use. Change weapon in use. So she's going to go to this like auto sniper. We can see it in that quick demo video. It's just like bam, 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 bam. It hits incredibly fast. It looks super badass. It looks like Alice on a macro. Honestly, Alice is probably still going to maybe do more damage. I don't know. I don't want to say probably, but we'll see. We'll see. The auto sniper is still going to hit super hard with her attack stat here and all of the buffs. So charge damage is going to go up by, or just damage in general, is going to go up by 27.8% of final attack. So get that, the damage is going up by a percentage of final attack. So this should be a very powerful effect in the damage formula because we're taking her final attack stat. So after all buffs, all of her overload gear, etc., all of that is then going to be added onto the end of the damage, not just added on to the final attack. So that is going to be incredibly powerful. And then also full charge damage goes up 250% of damage. So again, we're getting a huge damage boost here. Again, this is going to be crazy. It lasts for 10 seconds. And then additional effect. Expand pierce range by 100% per 10 seconds. I don't know exactly what that means. Maybe it's going to be a larger projectile, I would assume, kind of like how Snow White's burst works. It's sort of a large shot. Also, Maxwell kind of has a slightly bigger one too, although I don't think quite as big as Snow White. So I think that pierce effect is going to be larger. Nihilister also kind of has a similar effect of dealing a larger area with the pierce effect. And then charge speed goes up by 100% for 10 seconds. So that's where it's going to be like, you know, kind of that like auto sniper that's just hitting incredibly fast. She looks pretty juiced. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like her damage looks like it's going to be cracked. So getting back to how her burst skills work though, I think so if you're playing on auto, we still don't know exactly how this is going to interact because depending on where she's positioned with another unit of the same burst type, I don't know how it's going to be prioritized. You know, I would assume, like, let's just say it kind of goes by the normal rules and we put her in slot 1. If you're playing in auto, the first time she bursts, she's going to go burst 1, burst 2, burst 3, and then she's going to wait for the normal cooldown. So on the second burst, she's going to go off as your burst 3. And then, assuming you don't have any other cooldown shenanigans with like leader or anything, she will probably then go off as your burst 1 because she's going to have that 40-second cooldown. She's going to be ready for burst 1 again. and then she's going to have to go down 40 seconds, so then she's going to go off on burst 4 again, and so on and so forth. Now, with burst cooldown, this could get fudged a little bit. She might end up kind of randomly skipping around between burst 1, 2, and 3, depending on when exactly she's ready to cool down. But yeah, let me know if you've thought of anything crazy. Am I interpreting the way her burst works correctly? I think this is the only way that it really makes sense. Of course, if you're playing on manual, you can just choose at any point if you want her to go off as your burst 1, 2, or 3. But of course, after you've used your burst 1 and 2 one time, you're going to lose that cooldown effect. So, then you're just going to have to wait for whenever you want to have to use that in the future, but you can control it manually. So I think the biggest question mark here is just how exactly it's going to work with auto. All right. She looks crazy. Get ready for streams on poll, guys. I am going to be polling for Max Limit Break Redhood. Let me know if you're planning to poll for Max Limit Break Redhood as well. I will be doing viewer polls and, of course, more testing. And that Snow White review is still coming. We just had so much crazy news that even though I have the video ready to go, I haven't uploaded it yet. And that's talking about the original Snow White. If you want to see my skill breakdown and analysis of our new Small White, check that in the link in the description below. Consider giving me a sub for more nikke videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next video or the next stream.